Okay. Welcome to a special episode of the Black Briefing. I almost said behind closed doors. It's me and Jared's podcast. But the Black Briefing, we are excited, obviously, to come back to y'all quickly. I think we're still going to do the one toward the end of the month. We're still going to try to keep that on track. This will be a shorter one, definitely shorter than our last episode. But we had a few things that were pressing that we wanted to address quicker than usual. And so we're happy to be here with y'all. Happy to have y'all with us. I am one of your hosts, Samantha Douglas.
I'm Wild Style for sure.
And I'm Greg Merriweather.
And we're all, community advocates in our own right? I don't know if everybody knows us, but usually somebody knows if they're watching this, they know at least one of us. But I've been involved in the community for a long time. Just wanted to give that, on there. So when we're saying things, they're fairly informed opinions. So as we get started today, obviously one of the most pressing things that we've been talking about for months now has been the confirmation of the Deputy Mayor of Public Health and Safety, Lena Hill. I think we all agreed that she shouldn't be confirmed. Like on here, we've talked about it multiple times and for, a variety of reasons. And last Monday, the council actually voted on it. So, yeah, voted, didn't vote, right? It was a bit confusing, which is one of the, right, they tabled it indefinitely.
Yeah.
And so for those who don't know what that means, because I didn't know what it meant in the moment, I had to have it explained immediately. But basically what they said is they're not going to vote on this candidate as deputy mayor, period. So her confirmation is basically put to the side indefinitely. So
I think that's a no.
Yeah.
I think it's a no. I think it's a strategic no.
It's a strategic no.
Sure.
And I think for people who may get upset about it, think it feeling like it wasn't like a clear no enough or stuff like that. I think it did a variety of things. It didn't actually put people's votes like on the board where they could be retaliated against. That's real.
Which they would have been retaliated against.
And that's real. I think it was smart.
That is not. Is that true?
I believe that.
Who would retaliate?
Greg, he knows. Stop playing.
There has been a culture, I think, or at least a reputation of retaliation for people that don't vote.
I think both, a culture and reputation.
Yeah, it's definitely a reputation. I've been told many stories and details over the years of the last 8 years of what people viewed as retaliation. So I think them not putting the votes on display was probably preferable for a lot of the counselors.
I think that's unfortunate.
It's very, very unfortunate. I think it's smart and good for the council, though, to not have done it. And then I think the flip side of that is, too, I think this isn't as bad to me for her future, for them to actually put it up and then she doesn't go through.
I don't know. There's multiple news articles about the situation. We're doing a podcast about it. I think it's going to look the same.
But what about? I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean she has to go.
She just can't be.
She can't be in that position.
She can't be in that position.
To my understanding, I'm sure they'll find something for her to do. It won't be that.
If I'm being totally honest,
it'd be really hard to do that, being that she's already taken on a salary. That would kind of be rough. I wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't want that either. That was something, even when I advocated against it, that I said I wanted this to be an outcome where she can still go and do something. I'm never trying to just kill stuff for a Black woman ever, for Black anybody or anybody in general. But
I'm glad you shared that, because I don't think that's normal in our city.
What isn't?
I don't think people have the heart. I think in certain instances, Black people feel that way, but I think overall that's not how we feel, especially in politics. Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of Black people get done totally wrong by Black people. Yeah. And not only that, I've seen qualified Black people get done wrong simply because they said stuff. I mean, let's keep it buck.
I'm so sick of Greg.
There is a disclaimer.
Greg said that. There's a disclaimer at the front of this episode.
But I think that the city deserves to understand that this is how it goes.
Yeah.
Because when we look in our city and wonder why certain things don't happen, there is really this underbelly of stuff that takes place that no one understands. And when you realize that these people are in fear of retaliation, some stuff doesn't happen. And these are the people we vote for in our communities to do things for our communities. And a lot doesn't get done because of the fear.
And in fear of who? That's what makes me upset, because I think throughout these processes, a lot of times what I find is the people that they should be afraid of, they're not.
They're not afraid of voters most of the time.
They're not afraid of voters, right? And so like that's what was making me, honestly, throughout this whole thing, not just this one, but multiple. We'll talk about Red for Ed later, because you have all of these people show up to the State House. And what did it mean? Diddly. Yeah. Okay. But like we have to get back to, and how do voters leverage their power in a way to reinstill that fear? And it's a healthy amount of fear. Sure. Because it's motivating. It's letting you know that, no, these are the people you should be held accountable by. These are the people that can hold your feet to the fire.
I'm going to be honest. I know it's going to sound harsh, but when you got multiple people, it's like organized crime and you owed somebody money. And now, how many different people do you owe money to? It's going to be the person that's going to go break your kneecaps is probably going to get their money first. And look, I don't want to have to be like that, but voters, constituents, some kneecaps.
We got to start breaking
kneecaps. Might need to get attacked.
Metaphorically. Okay, metaphorically.
But the crazy thing is, that's always been my approach. Let's keep
That's surprising. That's shocking.
You know, so when it's all said and done, it is.
Tell us about 10 points. I'm just playing. Don't.
There's some in this house.
I'm just playing.
But now, when you get to a point where when you look at this and you say that we never know what it looks like when the snowball is rolling.
Yeah.
And then when it turns into the avalanche, we want to control it.
Yes.
And I'm like, we allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
We have not held. We always say this about voter education. We talk about vetting the people. Then we say, then you need to vote. And then after you vote, that's it.
Yeah, go home.
But the third part is holding your elected official accountable. That's a fact. And we have let that go so badly.
We've been trusting, if I'm being totally honest, because this is where, as a community leader, I'll take some responsibility and share what I do on the backside of things. But I think for a long time, like, my community trusts that I'm going to go out and fight for the things that matter to them. They also trust that I'm going to inform them if it's something that they need to know. Like, they trust me. And I think for a long time, in most cases, if I'm being totally honest, if you're in the Far East Side, I'm fighting for you. Period. Mm-hmm. I'm calling, I'm showing up, I'm arguing. Y'all, I'm threatening. I'm doing everything I got to do to try to get decisions that benefit us and our community. But one, I'm just one person, right? Two, and historically, our leaders have not shown up in that way. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been in the room with them. I'm not lying to you. Like, I've been in the room with them. I've sat there and I've seen somebody get shot and killed by police, and a community leader in the room says, "Oh, well, did he have a record?" And they're didn't want to talk about that, but yes, they did. And I've been in those rooms.
Time to caught up with him.
I've been in those rooms. So it's like, what we're also seeing is not just a fail on the voters themselves, but also on leadership that just hasn't been doing the job. And it is a big job. And I think we need to have a higher standard for who we call leaders and who we call advocates in our city too, and in our community.
But also correction, like, and to add to this with the whole OPHS saga, SB 197, which was the homelessness bill, where they're going to lock up people for 60 days for supposedly if they take them to a shelter, though we know our shelters don't take in everybody,
right? Sure.
And they're often overcrowded and they're also horrible places. But beyond that, I don't know what OPHS was doing to lobby against that, or at least the mayor's office. I think the city of Indianapolis has government affairs.
Sure.
I was just about to ask that. So explain, because I don't think people realize that our mayor's office has people that should be paying attention.
And should be at the State House.
It should be in the State House about things that will impact them. Because I know the council does too.
The council, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but Red for Ed, the teachers union has people.
Yeah.
The utility companies, the Indiana Apartment Association has people. And so here's how, and I don't know if this is to blame this on Lena or OPHS, but the fault is in the city of Indianapolis, is that I don't think that they were lobbying on that bill or against it, because what happened was the Indiana Apartment Association slipped in a last minute amendment to destroy a energy program from the city of Indianapolis. And it's all online. Like, this isn't like my opinion, like people have wrote about it online, that they destroyed this program that was going to require basically the apartments to measure or send the data for the utilities over to see, because our utility bills are getting sky high, and a lot of it's because the apartments are in bad shape. They're not renovated correctly. They weren't built correctly. Yeah. They're leaking air and leaking heat and driving. And they're driving up the bills. Well, the Indiana Apartment Association slipped in this amendment, and I guess it went through with no testimony. The only way that happens is if the city of Indianapolis government affairs wasn't on that homelessness bill at all. Like, they were just kind of like, do what you want.
Jesus Christ.
So when we look at this, and getting back to correction, does a lot of stuff take place or doesn't take place because of our loyalty to party politics? So we don't, because a lot of people say, let's rewind. A lot of times we don't correct people because of race. Yes. A lot of times we don't correct people because of gender and race. And then a lot of times we don't correct people because of our party affiliation. So when we look at this, how are we to fix this problem? Simply because we don't want to, there is no way we can bring about great change without correction. And I think we're dropping the ball so badly because of all the things that I've named. Because at first it was like, well, you don't want to we're going to run Lena through because she's a Black woman.
Yeah, no.
Not because of her credentials.
Any criticism, let me say this, any criticism that I've had about advocating against her confirmation has always been on the basis, well, she's a Black woman. Okay. And I have always said, and I love that, but I need more.
Sure. Yeah, because this is literally life and death. Yeah. There's this isn't, this isn't, I don't know, some unrelated. This isn't a lemonade stand. This is, people are going to live or die.
That's a fact.
Based on the decisions of the deputy mayor of public health and safety.
Yeah, and based on the vision and the goals she's setting for the whole office. That's what people aren't realizing. Like, I had the question come up pointedly, well, what are you so afraid is going to happen? And I was like,
people die.
Nothing. Right. I think nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, that too.
That's my concern.
So with that being said, what about her appointment? The person that she just made director.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. She made it through committee. First person she names is this Andrew Merkley dude, who was over the Homelessness Initiative. So,
and I've heard horror stories about him.
You know what's interesting?
All of them at OPHS have stories.
I haven't heard horror stories about him. I have had 2 people internally, though, reach out in support,
of him,
in support of him. Oh. I think he's going to do a good job. I think we should give him a chance.
And this crazy thing, I had the opposite.
Work with him. Really? That's intriguing.
I'm neutral. I've heard all sides. I don't know Andrew very well, but I also look at, have we groomed any other type of talent?
In full transparency, I've also heard that you had the opportunity to have a Black man in the position, and he wasn't given the position because of tenure.
You don't want to name him?
I hear it was Ralph Durant.
Yeah. I know. I think, and more important with Ralph specifically, I think more important than tenure too. I think he hasn't been there long enough for us to like see impact, or if he could make an impact in that kind of.
I'm not sure about how you can make. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of. Again, it's nothing personal, but if I have to go out my house and protest you a couple times. And I cooked a meal for one of the protests, but I made two pots of collard greens for that protest and this was an anti-homelessness ordinance that the OPHS was responsible for trying to push. So
yeah,
I'm not sure that he's had an opportunity to.
I don't think he's getting the opportunity, honestly.
And that's what I was saying. In fairness, I just wanted to say that I don't think he's had, the space, because my conversations with him, now you talk about vision. My conversations with him, with Ralph, have been incredible.
Now, how long has it been there?
It'll be a year in probably June.
I was going to say,
but I've had conversations. I've had a conversation with him prior to him being in the position. And I can honestly say that he's sharp.
Yeah.
He's very, very sharp.
No, super.
And people forget he's an attorney.
Yeah, super intelligent. Has
that doesn't
incredible.
Make me feel better about him.
I mean, I get it. But very rarely do we hear, I hear a brother that has those credentials speaking the way that he speaks.
Yeah,
I can honestly say that.
Yeah,
I don't
passion and vision. Like,
I'm gonna be honest, tenure does not matter.
Sense of care.
OPHS is not very old, first of all,
That's true.
And they're still finding.
That's true.
Let's just say they're still finding themselves.
That's true. How long was Merkley over the homelessness? Do you know? Okay.
I mean,
you have a guess?
I know he was there in 2022 when we were protesting.
Okay, so it's been a grip. You know what I always find intriguing is when it comes to these kind of things, why don't you just include community leaders on a hiring committee? Create a hiring committee, include community leaders, because this is what gets to happen. Okay, what gets to happen is you get to share the blame of what happens.
Sure.
Duh. You know what I mean?
But what if you end up with a candidate that's going to be for the community? I'm sorry.
I was just about to say. Well, I was just about to say. And then on the high end, you usually get a better candidate because, listen, our community leaders, our bullshit meter, excuse my French, is like here. Okay, because we do this all the time. We hear all the things.
We hear all the excuses that they give us. Well, like shut
up. But then the other part is when you say something that it makes sense and they finally do it. The rebuttal is, don't think you run stuff.
Oh yeah. No, for sure.
That is the reason.
They got to put you back in your hole.
Put you in your spot.
Got to put you back in your hole.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna go ahead and handle that, but don't think you're in charge of nothing.
Yeah,
that's real.
But that's what I'm. That's what they should just. And I'm just giving you this for free, city. What could you do? How could you make sure that the community doesn't come out and have to fight and argue against every single appointment you make? Include them.
Yeah.
My God.
What, like in democracy?
Oh my Lord.
Radical.
So radical.
And that's what I think. I think that the community is not included simply because it's like, again, we've done a poor job of we've allowed them to operate autonomously.
Yeah.
And at this point, they believe that it's them. It's their choice. It has nothing to do with the community. And I've said it. I've said that to so many people. And
I want to front out too the whole idea, because a lot of people too feel like they don't know enough. Yes, you do.
Yeah,
you live
Trust me,
in this city. Yeah, you live in this city every single day. You drive these streets. You pay for these utilities. All the things. Okay, all the things. You know enough to advocate, to be present, to hold people accountable. Yes, you do. Okay, yes, you do.
And let me say, they will say that you don't.
In fact,
they will insist. If you went and took the time to Google about it, you went and talked to 5 people, you talked to your neighbors about it, chances are you know more than the average city councilor about any topic. The average. Now, I'm not going to say all of them, but the average.
There's a disclaimer at the front.
I'm sorry.
I guess I'll have to say this. It's like the church. They don't want you to read the Bible.
Exactly.
Don't you dare read that. You need me. But that's another story.
Lord,
they used to burn people for printing Bibles. Got burnt at the stake.
There's a disclaimer at the front.
If counselors can do that about city issues, I'm sure so many of them, and not just counselors, a lot of local elected officials, if they could burn you at the stake for being able to read.
Jesus Christ.
There is a disclaimer.
There's a disclaimer at the front of this episode. But yeah, we just wanted to, a lot of people were confused about what that meant. Now, I have heard though, like, is there any teeth to, I'm going back to the Lena Hill decision. Sorry, y'all. This is the way my brain works. But there was conversation about, is there any teeth to the council tabling her confirmation indefinitely? Like, what if the mayor decides to just not replace her and she just goes?
No, it's been stated that she's getting replaced.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that they want to take it that far, because that's going to be a big political football. And for Emeritus running for office again, that's probably not something that he wants to take on.
Y'all, listen, I'm telling y'all, I am not sold on it. I don't think so. I do not think so.
I definitely think so.
I mean, anybody that spends that much time.
No, I think he's raising money for something, for sure. But I don't think he's running.
Yeah, but I mean, you raising money is one thing, but spending all that time talking about a summer jobs program at black church after black church after black church every weekend. I mean, either he's thinking about
raising money for somebody, y'all,
or he's thinking about being a black pastor after this is over, or he's running for mayor,
or he's raising money for somebody black to run for office.
Well, that would be nice if it's
let
the
me
right
say
black
it here
person.
first. Don't vote for them.
Disclaimer.
Hold on, there'll be a black person that comes up that we do want to vote for.
That is true.
Yeah, okay. but if he picks him, I'm off.
No, if he
picks him, I'm done.
Yeah, it's not the one.
I'm willing to consider anybody, but we gotta look at their record, the track record, and see what they talking about.
True. Well, you know the number one qualifier in the black community. Can you do the wobble or the Cupid shuffle?
That's for white folks. You gotta be a little extra. You gotta be more. You gotta have some black comedy. You gotta have black comedy if you're a black politician
and a fan.
Oh my
god.
Okay. So, second thing, you talked about Red for Ed a bit. I didn't get to get down there. It was incredible looking, though.
It was, actually.
Oh, my God. It was 3 floors completely filled?
Yeah, that was 3 floors. It was, and the thing is, the state police or whatever, they kept spinning us. So we went through one door. Then we had to go through the first door, and our friend Larry Vaughn was out there.
I was going to say that.
Jesus.
Giving the benediction.
I don't know if I'm going to link.
Oh my God.
I'm going to link whilst I was posting.
But make sure. Let me say, if she links that, it is not safe for work. Do not play that out your speakers at work, or you're going to be in HR.
Please don't let your kids see it.
Yeah, keep your kids for you do not want them hearing that.
Hide your wife. It's wild. Okay, he is wild.
I like how he was leaning in the flower pot.
He got tired after a while.
I mean,
that's what they're doing, y'all.
My video does not really capture it because the sound, his bullhorn was loud, and you could hear it clearly.
Wait till y'all hear what he was saying. Like, I refused to say it.
No, I had to walk away because I was saying it's so embarrassing.
Horrific. We're laughing, but it's disgusting, really.
Yeah, it was wild.
But it was super wild. And for those who don't know, like the Red for Ed, people decided to go downtown to advocate against SB1, which because 518 got rolled into it too and stuff. But it was about taxes and stuff. You can explain better and more.
Well, so IPS was down there because of 518 and SB1, but SB1. It really guts public education across the state of Indiana, and not just public education. We're talking about the property tax money it cuts the property taxes, and the local governments are expected to go raise their income taxes, apparently, which it doesn't make any sense. There's no such thing as a free lunch, but it cuts the property tax money that schools, libraries, fire departments, and even police departments would get. in order to give them savings. And it's like, but then it gives the local governments the authority to raise more in income tax, which basically, this is a Republican state.
Yeah.
Now your local governments are, your local mayors and councils got to raise taxes and then face a primary challenge from somebody that said, well, you raise taxes. So a lot of people aren't going to raise the taxes. Some of the smaller counties, and this was admitted to me by somebody that was in favor of the bill, that person said that they don't even think they can raise enough income taxes in some of them counties to offset the property tax.
I think people don't realize how rural our state is.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there's still folks out here without internet, y'all. Mm-hmm. Like,
it's real. I know somebody. Yeah. It's real difficult. They're trying to figure out how to get it. They didn't want to go mess with Elon, and they're Republicans. They didn't even want to mess with Elon on there, and they were trying to figure out how to get reliable internet service.
That's what, and that's why I'm like, we forget how rural Indiana is, and just how different because of that, just how different our issues can swing, and how state legislation can come down and not impact all of us equally, and set some folks up for failure. I think it was critical too. You were talking about that the librarians were there, firefighters were there, and stuff like that, advocating against SB 1. And like I said before, one of the most impactful things I think for me is that you see all of these people. You see school corporations shut down for a day. And what happens? It still passes 27-22.
But you know, he signed it quietly. They sent it to him at night. It was they're not very proud of this.
So the actual like session to vote on it was held at like 10 something at night. I happened to catch some of it. I turned it on while I turned on the Bluetooth thing in the bathroom while I was showering, and I caught the end of Senator Greg Taylor's horrible, little speaking, horrible little speaking part. And then he ended his comments by saying, "Oh, I still don't know how I'm gonna vote on this." And I was just like, y'all, why is he there?
I don't know.
I'm trying to figure it out every single day.
What is the point of talking if you don't know what you're gonna?
As a senator, I still don't know where I'm at. You don't know where you're at. You just had thousands of people in the state. You don't know where you're at.
And I'm one of his constituents. He's never.
You were there.
I was there.
And your senator said he still don't know. He just still didn't know how. Now he ended up voting no. Thank God. But yeah, at the end of his statement, I still don't know how I'm over.
But he also was, I think, one of 2 Democrats that voted for the governor's budget that defunds all sorts of stuff for Black folks and cities.
Who was the other one?
Oh, the other alleged molester.
Alleged sexual. Yes.
The guy up north?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave, we had to learn how to say his name. Listen, we didn't prep to say his name. I know
we didn't prep. We have to prep the
Nedzgotsky.
Nedzgotsky.
There ain't a W in there?
No.
Oh, Nedzgotsky.
Yeah. That's so the 2 alleged molesters
or sexual harassers are the ones who voted for the governor's budget.
Maybe they're starting their own pact with the party, like
a sexual harasser's pact.
Yeah,
oh God. This is a disclaimer.
Don't try to say that about us.
I thought I was bad.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, but it's odd. Like it was just them 2 that voted for it.
It is odd. Because why? Because why would you break with your parties? This is the thing too. He has a very strong Democrat district. Like you have some people like Representative Victoria Garcia Wilburn. She's in a district where, at least, she has to pull some Republican votes just to keep and win her seat, right? So somebody like her kind of toeing the line, you can see. Greg Taylor?
Personal benefit.
Boy.
Will always go before the people.
Listen, for horrible people. Yes.
Well, we know a lot of horrible people.
That's a fact.
I ask how a lot of them get jobs, but that's a whole nother story.
In leadership roles.
But it's concerning. Like, I don't know why he did that. I really don't.
But this is the thing. One of the things we have to acknowledge too, though, is there are folks who like to maintain power, and intelligence is a threat to power.
Yeah,
I agree.
So there's some people who get these positions because they know they're ill-equipped to actually do it well.
No, that's a tactic.
And okay, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm not always surprised when I think, how did they get to? I know exactly how they got it.
Man, we look every day and see people
why do they get to stay
who end up being CEOs of all sorts of stuff that we know are not qualified simply because they did something, know something, or something. and it when personal gain or whatever comes into play, it don't matter. The people don't matter at all at that point.
No, that's a fact. We got a wrestler, the wrestler dude's wife running.
Linda
what's she running?
McMahon?
Yeah, what's she running? The education department? Yeah, like if you gave enough money, you
got a spot.
Period. You know that happens locally.
I'm trying to tell you
on nonprofit boards. And literally, and they state that, like they say,
the senator dangled a nonprofit job. Let's be real. So when it's all said and done, you find that there's a level of quid pro quo that happens on such a high level that it's hard to trust anybody.
Yeah,
because you look and you say, "Man, will you sell out your community for personal gain?" And most will.
Yes. I've watched them do it.
But in defense about Taylor, I don't know how long he's lived there, but he's not from Indianapolis.
No, he's from Marion.
Mm-hmm.
He's Marion by way of like Alabama or Mississippi somewhere. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because remember he said he was down there during Jim
Crow. Was it? I was like, what? Mm. I'm from the Jim Crow South.
Oh my God.
I said, man, you're 2 years older than me.
I didn't hear that one.
It's like, what are you talking about?
I will link the article because y'all think I'm lying. He said this. It is in an article.
I know about the fountains being separated.
He said it makes me think about, he was talking about his sexual harassment allegations. It makes me think about Jim Crow.
Oh, God.
I was like, man.
Growing up in Jim Crow's.
Trying to compare yourself to Emmett Till. Emmett Till.
God.
Well, Emmett Till didn't go in the bathroom on them white women.
So. Oh my God.
Allegedly.
And he had one alleged. This man has six. Like, I cannot articulate this enough. He has 6 alleged victims that have come forward. 6.
And it can't be a conspiracy like that the Republicans put on him because he be voting with them quite often, we see. So I don't know why would somebody go after him like that?
At this point, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know if y'all ever watch. I encourage y'all to watch the committee meetings and stuff for the Senate and the reps, honestly. But you can see the Republicans visibly frustrated and annoyed with these Democrats. Like, I don't even think they care to even sabotage them at all, if I'm being honest. I think they're just like,
why are you talking?
I think they're so fed up with it that they're just like, why are you talking? Like, I think they would support us having better representation, if I'm being totally honest.
I mean, if you're a senator and
make the fight a good fight.
Yes, like
you get up there and say, well, you don't know how you're going to vote on this bill, and why did you get up there and talk?
Why'd you get up there?
Or you should have asked questions if that's what you...
He spent half the time...
Oh my God.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm not exaggerating. Please go watch the recording. I was watching it. Please go watch it.
I don't want to be more disappointed in my elected officials. It was redeeming.
Fatty came up after him, thank God, right? And actually asked quality questions, asking about what all do people need to qualify for, like maxing out on some of the tax benefits of SB1. And by the end of it, we found out that if you are a senior and disabled and a veteran and blind, you can get about $800. That's the max out. The average person gets around what, like you said, like $200?
$192.
$192.
Now keep in mind, like, if you're in Marion,
big savings.
If in Marion County, like homes in cottage home are going for like $1 million and everything, and my house $192 in tax savings for me is going to be like, I'm not paying nothing. So a lot of y'all are not going to see
currently.
Yeah, y'all are not going to see 100. Most of y'all are not going to see $192. That's the average. And just keep in mind, there's a lot of people that have $500,000 to $1 million homes.
Yeah.
So that's driving the average way up. Most of y'all, well, I don't know. I don't want to count your pockets, but a lot of y'all that are watching this are not going to see that. And if you're renting, obviously your landlord just gets to...
You can spend $192
I don't know if
on
that's
streaming
just,
services in a month.
Or is that just for homeowners? I haven't... Now, that part I don't understand.
Oh, yeah. You know what? And there is a section where Fatty asks about that because I think he was talking about the trickle-down effect. Again, I was multitasking. I think he was talking about the trickle-down effect to renters. Mm-hmm. It's like, so is there any incentive?
I'm sure eventually it will have an impact, though. It has to.
Yeah. And as far as I'm remembering, they said, no, there's nothing for tenants. It's just for, I think it's just for homeowners.
I mean, I think with renters, when, your landlord pulls up in a nicer car, that's trickled down. You get to see a nicer car as they're collecting your rent or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's a whole nother story. I mean, it's 3 out of 10. So 3 out of 10 Black people in Indianapolis own their homes. So
I told y'all 22 said no to this SB1 that has 518 rolled into it. 22 voted no, 27 voted yes. Again, that's a tight split.
It was tight.
That's a tight split. That suggests, boy, maybe if we were doing a better job.
It's a hard thing to think about when you realize, when you come with property taxes and realize that Black people don't have a large stake.
Well, I mean,
like we're not really even in the game.
We're not in the game.
When you say 3 out of 10 versus 7 out of 10, you ain't in the game. 30% of Black people in Indianapolis own.
Yeah.
So you ain't in the game.
And the amount of savings, like this is like they tried to push this narrative that all the old Black lady living next door is gonna say keep her in her house. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
The average savings is $192.
Yeah.
Chances are if she's living in the hood like I am, she's not gonna save. She might get $50 back. That is not gonna keep her in her house.
Living a current.
I live in the hood.
It's changing.
Yes, it is.
Fact.
It is starting to change.
He's gonna go from wild style to miles.
You know what's funny? I was almost tempted to take a picture like you did in your neighborhood not that long ago. The other day, I was driving up 21st Street heading towards Shadeland.
Oh man!
And there was a lady out there, a white lady out there, jogging. Like under the bridge where like our unhoused folk be living. And I was like, she must be staying at the hotel and not realize.
Yeah, that could happen. You don't know. You got to get up and exercise. You don't know where that hotel is at.
Because I was like, look at infrastructure. It'll tell you where you at.
Well, they jogging in his hood. That's just the first time.
No, his is changing.
Yeah,
Mine is temporary.
Something going on because I saw somebody else jogging down Clifton later that night, and I was like,
yeah.
Like either I'm being trolled or something going on.
Something's going on.
You know what it is.
Well, okay, so SB1 was not the only harmful thing to pass. You talked about the homeless bills already passing. I think session is scheduled to end at the end of this month, right? Like the 29th.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is the long session too. I don't know if they get to end early, if they get it all done or not. I don't know.
Yeah. So, was there anything else that you saw? I know we'll be back at the end of the month too, so I'll go and see if there was anything else. I'm just trying to think. There was something else, and I can't remember at the moment.
There was a whole bunch of stuff, but I love it's been like the magnitude has been so bad that you forget the little stuff that's not as bad, I guess.
All the stuff that'll hit us July the 1st. Nobody realizes that.
Or next year, top of next year.
Like real talk, quick one. People don't know it's driver awareness month. Did you know that?
I saw somebody almost get hit downtown.
So driver awareness month. But when the bill passed, when it got passed, when you can't drive in Indiana with a cell phone in your hand, it was during COVID. But nobody was outside. So when you see people with their cell phones in their hands, in their cars, please let them know that that's illegal.
That is true. But the police.
I'm for that. I ain't gonna hold you.
No, I'm just saying because a lot of people don't know that simply because of when it happened. It happened during COVID. And at that point, a lot of people, I still see people holding cell phones. I just had a friend of mine who received a ticket simply because of it yesterday.
Now, what was the persuasion of your friend?
You know what that means. It gives you the means to search the car.
Because that's one of the things.
I'm just saying.
I think a lot of that stuff is selective enforcement because I see everybody on their phones still.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
That's a fact.
I'm just saying when we get these laws and these bills passed, a lot of stuff we have to be the people who put that information out simply because a lot of people will never go and read it. Yeah. And then a lot of people stop watching the news, so they never hear about new bills and laws that come out. So therefore we're the informants of that news.
They haven't given us a catchy thing for it yet, like click it or ticket. They haven't given us a catchy tagline.
I fought that years ago because I was like, it showed no compassion. I said, and at the end of the day, I'm like, why not? What happened to buckle up for safety? And I've seen some new ones up there that I thought were really good that got back to saying we care about your life as opposed to just locking you up or giving you a ticket.
Click it or ticket.
I don't see that commercial anymore with the officer in the bricks that waits for the man to get drunk and then arrested.
Oh my God.
I don't know. But nonetheless.
Anyway, okay. Next thing up, Braun has made some announcements. Okay, so I don't know if like some of y'all were like me, but when Braun was doing all this Trump stuff, when he was campaigning, I was sincerely praying to my core that it was for show, that he just wanted, to get in office. He wanted to exploit the office for his own personal gain, business-wise, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, listen, as long as he ain't full-blown Trump.
Grifters are easier to deal with than zealots.
Fact.
And he's a nut. Braun is a nutcase.
And here we are. You know what I mean? No, for facts. So he makes announcements about the changes he's going to make with SNAP. Back to having to work while you're on.
Well, it's unclear. SNAP. Yeah, it's unclear exactly what the.
They said you'll be in the open employment marketplace or something like that. You'll be put in the marketplace. I know historically they've made you prove that you've spent a certain amount of hours a week looking for a job, things like that. And then they made the stipulations more strict. They're talking about how they're going to be more strict about, following through and everything. And I ain't going to hold y'all. I don't know if y'all have ever been through this process. It's already a mess.
There's a lot of people that should be on SNAP that can't get it already. And that's the thing. Everybody's talking about the candy and soda, and we can talk about that later because it's stupid and it exposes another problem that they haven't solved. But
food desert.
Specifically, I know a lot of Black men that are have all their money going out on child support that should be on food stamps. Like they literally do not have enough food for them to eat, but they're expected to provide. But because of their income on paper says, oh, you're making this much, but it's all going out in child support. And they get in a bind. And that's why you have these situations where they go quit the job and have to go work under the table, or they go do something else or whatever. We're not having productive conversations about SNAP and EBT and how to actually benefit people to where they get off the programs. What we're doing is letting some dude with brain worms come in, literally some dude with brain worms come and tell us how things should be done instead of addressing the current problems that we had with the system.
Yeah. And you mentioned, so he's saying that SNAP benefits should not be able to pay for things like pop or candy or junk food. He said it needs to pay for healthy foods. I think that's
well, so I went on the governor's website. He even has statistics about supposedly. I don't know if they're right. It's Braun. You don't know if any of this stuff is true, but they had statistics about that how much the percentage was going to all this from Indiana EBT. But I'm like, okay, well, let's go look at the zip codes where they're spending the money. Do they have grocery stores? Do they have healthy options? Because I can tell you, in my neighborhood, you have Cleo's, who does historically hasn't always had everything that you had to make a meal, but they're getting there. And then you had the Family Dollar. So what are people going to spend EBT money on when you can't get to a real grocery store?
Y'all know where we at out here. If you can't get to Washington or Pendleton Pike, you're up a creek.
So so when you think, well, why are they spending on that? Well, maybe because that's what's on the shelves.
Yeah,
and it ain't going to be different from these rural white folks. Like everybody thinks like food deserts is just only with black people.
Now we talking.
And then white folks that's why them white folks are spending out there, because they're going to the gas station just like we going to the gas station.
Absolutely.
So you're telling me he has statistics about the breakdown of what they're being spent on, like the kind of food?
That's what he said.
Such a lie. I can't imagine it.
I looked at it. I was like, I don't know.
Think about the data that our state actually. I mean, I'm just for funsies. Just think about it, just for a second, about the data. I say this all the time, but like when we were advocating for body-worn cameras, they were saying one of the biggest parts of that budget was just to store all of the data from it. Okay, yep. So now, just letting you know that. Think about all the data it would take to know not just how much each person is spending, but on the specific products, and then categorize those, and then be able to put together that. No, they didn't.
I don't believe it.
I don't even know where those numbers came from. Somebody in his office said, you know what? I think about half of that money is probably spent on junk food. And they was like, you know what? That sounds like a good, and who are they? I don't know. They're the director of blah, blah, blah. So now the director of blah, blah has said that 50% of it's like what RFK Jr. is doing right now.
Well, they didn't attribute it to a source, or they didn't put it with the director. They just said that's what it was.
Yeah, they just said it. But I'm saying but you can just like an article, like Republican news medias can just take that and just, look, this in Indiana, they said the blah blah and blah, blah. I
don't think it doesn't have to be a real stat, but I think that it is a statistic that is easily justified just based on the fact that that's what's there.
Yeah, if that's true, then we should be looking at.
If I can look and say, okay, well, 9 times out of 10, you're going to go to the Family Dollar or to blah, because that's in your proximity. So therefore, it's easy for me to say that this is how you spend the money, simply because that's what's there.
And they might be categorizing it by store, which would make sense.
Sure,
because it'd be hard to go through the line item list and categorize it.
I have, I've been on food stamps multiple times in my life. Let me tell you. And the amount, and I have 4 kids, the amount of that was just spent on junk food was so very small. And let me tell you why.
Junk food is cheap.
Because and when you're broke and you can't afford it, you are trying to make them things stretch. All the different ways that you can. And one of the best ways to do that is to just cook at home, to make food. Like, it sticks with your kids longer. So nobody who has actually raised children is thinking that we're just going, you're not just stocking up on a whole bunch of dumb stuff. Do you get the dumb stuff for the kids and stuff? Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course you get the dumb stuff. You get some of the dumb stuff. But nothing is as cheap as a case of water. Nothing is as cheap as freaking, like, I could just go down the list. It's cheaper. And it sticks with your family longer to just feed them. Now you start getting into frozen food, stuff like that. Now I bet there's a gang of that kind of stuff. But I think it's just ridiculous to think that people who are already because it's already a ridiculous process to even get food stamps to begin with. So you go through all of this heartache to finally freaking get them. You're on them. And you think most people are using that. That's just not true. It's just not true. It's just like how there's fraud in there. Yeah, we know everybody knows probably somebody has sold food stamps or whatever.
There is more fraud going on with all them cranes operating downtown.
That's a fact.
And with taxpayer money than it ever has been
with food stamps. That
is
100%. Now that's a statistic. You can go figure that out.
Okay? I didn't say that, y'all.
I don't care, but that's true. That's true.
That's some wild
okay, so Braun's crazy. There was something else too that you just posted. I was going to throw in here about it was our Black women mortality.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. Like they're talking, they're worried about what people might be buying candy with the food stamps, but when we're talking about health, I think a black women had a mortality rate like 93% higher than white women in Indiana, and it's not good for white women in Indiana either. Don't get it twisted.
No, and that's like I say this every single time this comes up, but this is why Indiana rushed into that abortion ban was so disgusting because you're forcing me to go through a pregnancy that you can't ensure my life through. I've had preeclampsia 3 out of my 4 pregnancies.
Wow.
3. My first delivery was emergency. Well, it was induced because my blood pressure was so high and I was so sick. And the next 2 were both emergency cesareans.
Wow.
3 times.
You would think if we were really pro-life, that we would focus all of our attention on taking care of the women who were willing to birth the babies instead of just letting them die, and instead of focusing on people that don't want to birth them.
I'll never forget, me and Jared were at, it was some kind of gala thing. Me and Jared sat at this table. We sat to a beautiful young black couple. The husband was a teacher. The wife was a pediatrician. They were so excited. They were talking about trying to have a kid for the first time. We were giving them advice and stuff. She was so bright, such a beautiful smile. I would just, it sticks with me. I can picture it right now. And then seeing, was like a year and a half later, she had passed away a few days after having her baby.
Oh, wow.
She had preeclampsia and all of that stuff. And after she had it, it had gone into eclampsia, I think it was. And so like she had organ failure. It was but she was complaining, telling them about like pain she was having, like stuff like that. And they didn't, And she ended up passing away a few days after giving birth to her daughter. And it might have been, it was like, I think it was just like a few days. But that's real life. That's real. So that's here. She was a doctor. It's a black woman doctor in Indianapolis.
Even my experiences as a 13-year-old and my dad taking my mom to the hospital because she was going into labor. Clearly, I'm 13 years old. We're all like, she's screaming. She's clearly going into labor. We lived out on the Far East Side. And he drives her to Methodist Hospital. And I would say an hour later, he rolls back with my mom in the car, and she's screaming even louder. And I'm just like, what is going on? And then my dad is like, they said she's not dilated enough. She's not having that baby tonight. And I'm 13. I am 13 years old, and I'm having a conversation with my dad, and we're like, this doesn't make any sense. I was like, Dad, you got to take her back. Like, nah. He took her back, and she had my little brother Andre within 27 minutes of being admitted to the hospital.
27 minutes, and this is exactly that is exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like this, we cannot continue this way. I don't even know. And I love the movement of bringing doulas in and stuff like that. And people think it's just, they think about like the, somebody's helping you breathing and stuff like that. But it's not just that. It's having somebody advocate for you in the room.
That cares.
That knows your interests and what you want to do, what you don't want to do, stuff like that. Because you are busy having a freaking baby. Like you're giving birth and you can't, and even your spouse or your significant other, like you guys are going to be focused on those things, and you need somebody who's focused on your care. It should be our healthcare professionals. And to their credit, a lot of them do. Like I've had incredible doctors. I have an incredible doctor right now. But as a state though,
we are failing. We are failing.
Agreed. Resources wise, we are failing.
Agreed.
So anyway, next one real quick. This will be a quick one. Jose Evans named executive director of the Indiana Civil Rights Commission by Braun. He was formerly a city county councilor, right? He was a Democrat, flipped to Republican.
Yep.
And this was your topic. So
that's
about all I know.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I found it quite interesting. Because when you get that seat, I'm like, I always ask what kind of black person are you when you get that seat?
I mean, it's important.
I mean, I just gotta say it. I mean, I've seen the people who have been appointed. You had Greg Wilson. You had what's my man that ended up being the athletic, like he was like athletic AD, but a higher level, Jamal Smith.
Mm-hmm. I don't know none of these people you're naming.
Oh my gosh. I don't know these people, they over the Civil Rights Commission.
I've never really seen the Civil Rights Commission do anything.
Okay, so
1,000%. Like I'm there.
So
like
the Civil Rights Commission, a lot of times when there's a situation that goes, whether it be in employment or any kind of situation that you deem could violate your civil rights, you go and file a complaint with the Civil Rights Commission. And then typically, especially if it's in the workforce, then they can do a dual file with the EEOC just to basically, and then there's an investigation, so on and so forth. And then you can go through mediation and then come to a conclusion on whether the organization will, pay you or whatever, however it goes. But that's their job.
I feel like I've seen the office logo like on a flyer.
Oh yeah, you definitely see it. But I mean, it's been pretty shiesty because the person that's been over it has probably been it has been a sellout. So therefore, when you look at this, you look and all of a sudden you go and they'll give out they're the people who nominate a lot of people that nominate a lot of black people for the Sagamores and all that kind of stuff. So when you saw Tanya Bell wrongfully get one, it was through Greg Wilson. So when you look and you see people, who are highly undeserving of any type of award get it, typically it comes from the person, the biggest sellout who's in the seat called the Civil Rights Commission person.
God. Oh Lord.
Okay.
So I guess Jose Evans has figured out a way to be a massive sellout.
That's Greg.
That is all Greg. I don't know. I don't know. I
do not know this man.
So
first of all, let's go backwards really quickly.
I did not know this man.
I thought, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that we just had a humongous conversation about Mike Braun.
Yeah.
And neither person said anything great about him, but all of a sudden, he may have made a great choice.
No, I didn't say he may have made a great choice. I just said I don't know this man.
I did not know the man.
These things don't go together.
If I knew the man was a sellout, I would tell you
these things don't go together. Obviously, there's something. If you're looking at everything and everything black is being dismantled, and you take a black person and put them over something that we would think would help us.
Hold on. Is the Indiana Civil Rights Commission being dismantled? Because it's I'm
going to tell you what I've heard happen. So let's talk about that really quickly. Donald Trump put a halt to all those lawsuits. Mm-hmm. They have to go through them.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, now you got another person who just might prohibit black people from being able to file civil rights lawsuits against organizations that typically may not hire black people, elevate black people, promote, all these things. That has to go through this person at this point. Mm-hmm. So if you look and say Donald Trump's agenda was to remove all these discrimination claims, then this is him.
I mean, my understanding, not knowing any of the directors, but the word on the street always was about the Civil Rights Commission was that don't even waste your time.
Oh, he's a cell. Out.
There's a disclaimer at the front of this episode. Greg ain't on his songs.
Just saying.
But that's, I ain't know nothing about it. And what's funny is we had talked about this beforehand, so I had no idea what Greg was going to say.
We didn't.
I was just like, okay, cool, I'll throw it on these.
I assumed it wasn't going to be great.
Did we get anything great from Greg Wilson?
I've already told you, I ain't know nothing about what they did. Like, I've seen their logo on things.
I've only heard bad things about the Civil Rights Commission.
Did he sit on the board for Expo? I mean, he was like the board chair.
I didn't know that. Oh, well. Well, in there, let's track
we can keep going with it, but it's ugly. It's not a pretty seat. It can be Rick Haight used to be the commissioner as well.
Oh, well, that says a lot.
Come on. Everybody who's been appointed, everybody was either a Pence, who's Mitch, and
when are they going to appoint?
So everybody had to be appointed by a Republican because
when are they going to appoint Reverend Harrison?
So all our governors have been Republican. So everybody who's gotten in that position,
right? It's coming.
So everybody's got put in that position has been appointed by whoever the governor was. Yeah. And you tell me the governor that has really done great things for us, and I'll wait on it.
It's not ever happened. I'm a historian. It hasn't happened in the history of Indiana.
Okay, so we'll
not
move
yet.
On.
Democrat or Republican.
I was just about to say.
So you look
because Evan Bayh was a great disappointment.
Well, there you have it. So when you think about the last few,
there's a disclaimer at the front of this episode.
Now, if it gets back to Evan Bayh, my mom loved you with that speech that you gave when I was some program when I was about to graduate from high school. It was amazing. You as governor was not, unfortunately.
Right.
Golly, we're just trying to make it a year. Can we make it 1 year?
No more internet service for them.
Jesus, I was going to bring up somebody else.
He's much better than Holcomb and Braun and definitely Pence. So there's that.
So think of all the people who, all three of them who have appointed the person over the executive director of the Civil Rights Commission.
Yeah.
And have you seen civil rights move in the city?
This is what...
Or in the state?
Backwards.
Okay. That's all I'm saying, man.
It's moved. That's moved.
I think that there's a jump between that and he's a sellout. That's why I think that's where we were just like, okay, we don't.
My question, and I think that's what people. I think that in this state, we have to understand what it looks like to be placed there. We have to look at it and say, why they pick you?
Yeah.
I just thought of something. I think I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Like real. We be like, why they pick you, dog? Like on real talk.
Yeah.
I mean, this happened. Like I remember as a kid, we were all watching the Clarence Thomas hearings, and my parents didn't understand the difference, and we were like, well, maybe this is a good thing.
No,
it was not a good thing. He was not picked.
You replaced Thurgood for no good.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, and that's exactly what happened.
Hey, come on, dog.
I like that one.
Just saying. Yep. It's real talk.
I'm sorry. That just it irritates my soul more than anything. I'm just okay. We gotta hurry because I promised this wouldn't be that long, and here we are at an hour. Okay.
Oh Lord.
Our next one up: Democrat Party is still getting dragged for their terrible response and handling of sexual harassment allegations in the party with elected officials, with party leadership. Talion said something, just saying it was unfair. How they went to Mike Schmoll and saying that he should do something about it.
It's not his job.
Because it's not his job.
So sick.
I push back on the getting dragged. I think this is a case of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps because they did it to themselves. like, why would you say something like that to the press?
I wish I had the quote from Lauren. Hold on. I'm gonna pull it up.
That was.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, that was tough.
Oh, it was so good.
To me,
She said, people who are real leaders and actually care about the people they're supposed to be serving want that responsibility. It appears no one wants the responsibility here. And that was the part of the title is no one wants to hold the ball.
Yeah.
It's sad.
So sad.
And it's also, I'm concerned that it's completely non-strategic. I mean, it's one thing to buck your responsibility and push it off on somebody else. Is another thing to go tell the press that that's what you want to happen and that's what should happen.
Yes. Yeah. It's disgusting. Like I've never seen, this goes back to our conversation earlier about leaders. Cause I want to be clear. I'm not just talking about Black leaders. I'm talking about leaders across the board. We are not seeing quality leadership at any level.
We're not
on any side of the party. On any side of the aisle, on any of that. We are not seeing quality leadership. Like, I cannot stress that enough because I do not go out into my community and think, oh, this isn't my fault. Right. I'm not going to fix that. It may not be my fault, but it's my responsibility. And that's the problem. Is like, as a party, you work to get Democrats elected. If some of those Democrats that you've helped get elected are now out here sexually harassing women in the place that you helped them get elected to, how dare you look at that and say, it's not my responsibility to do anything about that?
Again, I think that we have to go back, because I tend to say this often. The community's wrong. We don't stand up. That is so, it's easy to pick us apart if it's three of us.
That's true.
instead of 900,000 of us.
That's true.
So if I look and I say something, they're like, just go beat up Meriwether, he's by himself.
Yeah.
Just go beat up Wild Style, he's by himself. Go beat up Samantha, she's by herself. But if you get a community that's truly involved in the issues that take place, then it's easier to get it addressed. I think they are looking at us right now and saying, you three have a problem. Nobody else is saying anything. Get away from us.
But I think what's important to consider, and this is where I think community gets discouraged too. You have a situation like Samantha hollering and making videos and stuff. It changed the opinion of a few, right?
Sure.
But what it did was it created a group of us who then decided, you know what, we should get together and actually demand that they do something. So then 50 plus Democrat women is what we started with. That's the group we started with. Mm-hmm. Sent a letter to our party, and that's what got us an ethics committee for these allegations to go through. That's what got us a code of conduct. We didn't have a code of conduct.
Sure.
So we would just endorse people to do whatever. There was no standard in place that people had to follow. So it got those things, right? But then you look at thousands of people showing up to the State House.
Sure.
And it's still not going their way. And so I think it's both, right? Like we have to stand up, yes. But then on the flip side, also, the current leadership who's in place has to take those that stand up seriously.
It takes days. It takes not just days. It takes months. Here's the measurement. Let's just say, and this is just, I'm not going to say our police department, but the known measurement is if a police action shooting takes place and they believe that the police were wrong, it's been stated, give them about 3 to 7 days, they'll leave it alone.
Really?
So, and you notice it happens all the time. Say what you got to say, it'll go away. So then we get back, we say, okay, I remember Aaron Bailey, I remember this person, I remember this person, but all of it went away. All of a sudden, we ain't talking about George Floyd no more. Okay? Yeah. So it just transfers. So if you look and you want to change stuff, it's the consistency.
Yeah.
It's this thing of saying, I got to stick with this until change takes place. What happens is they are more, it's like legal stuff. They're willing to wait, just wait you out until you don't say anything.
That's also, I mean, that's the flip side of advocacy that's reactionary too, though.
Sure.
Because when it's linked to a specific instance, it goes away.
Sure.
But when we say, no, it's not about this, but it's about this whole thing, it's something that we can be more consistent about.
I agree with
right? You. Because that's part of the challenge for me is because like when you get into individual cases, people always want to get, oh, well, it's this, oh, well, it's that, oh, their record, and oh, this is, and then you go into like, well, what about Trayvon Martin? Or what about Ahmaud Arbery?
Oh, yeah.
Or what about, you know what I mean? Who, they did absolutely nothing, right? And so that's why we got to make it bigger than individual instances. And I guess like how do we shift and organize people in that way so that we're getting them to that? I think
we do the black briefing.
But
that's true.
But I look at it for more of a base level, and the community that you're talking about is not their community. Yeah. I can't go to any of my neighbors, well, a few, actually 2. I can go to 2 of my neighbors and they'll know who Senator Greg Taylor is.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
And the rest of them saying, well, you know, he did this, allegedly, he did this. You know, he had the whole singing to her about the secret garden, followed her in the bathroom, whatever was going on or wasn't allegedly.
I won't tell.
You know, I can't tell. Like,
it's Greg's fault.
It is. He came up with
He's in the secret garden. He was in very white.
Whatever he was saying to her, singing to her, whatever, allegedly. I can't take that to any of my neighbors because they don't know who Greg Taylor is. But the people that are in charge of the party, they're promoting the party, promoting the values, getting voters, they know who these people are.
Yep.
Sure.
Like, it's their job. Like, if anything, I know, and it always gets back, they'll say, well, there was nothing that we could do. No, nothing stops you from using your voice.
Right.
Like you can't remove him from office, but you can say that's foul. Yes. You shouldn't be doing that. And at least you covered your own behind on that and saying that you spoke up.
And that was some of the things that we were saying. So like we had closed door meetings about this stuff. But some of the things we were offering up is they can be disinvited from notable things.
What's the moral clause? Is there a morality? Is there a moral clause? Is there something in there? I mean, I think that's another thing that you need that needs to be added is this this level of morality that needs to be added throughout all parties. Because I think that when you look at, even with the White House, you look at the level of corruption that's being ignored.
Oh my God!
Then you have to understand that it had to be derived from somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you realize we're looking at the results of a long-term thing of corruption.
Yeah.
And now it's just happened to get into the executive seat.
Yep.
So when we look at this, we have to say just how much corruption. And when we dig into it, we will see that it's in every facet of every level of politics that we experience every day.
And what you're getting to too is like there's this expectation that everybody's going to be like going to have common sense or not going to like that's one of the things that I'm realizing with the Trump thing is like there's things that historically, not just us, like going all the way back to the founding fathers, that we didn't think we had to protect.
Sure.
Like, you remember the whole argument about him being an insurrectionist, inciting the insurrection. Yeah. Can he even be on the ballot, being a part of the insurrection? And so the Supreme Court had to go through this, through our Constitution, talking about like, well, when they talked about insurrectionists, they were talking about the Civil War and they were talking about this and they had to pick that apart. Like, is it applicable here? And I honestly believe if you gave our founding fathers this situation, they're like, Absolutely, this applies here.
Oh, I mean, I think they'd be smacking people around. You allowed this to go on?
Yes, you allowed for
the
facts.
bad thing is we wouldn't be in the room.
No. That's true. We'd be working. We would be working hard at work right
now. Well, more coffee, please.
I'm not light enough for that.
More greens, please.
Oh my God, y'all.
I made 2 pots of greens, George.
But yeah, there were things that we didn't think that had to be said or written down. You know? And now we're seeing like, no, if we don't make our standards and our boundaries and all this stuff very, very, very clear, there are plenty of corrupt people to use them to their benefit. And I think that's some of the stuff that we're seeing. I know it's a great segue. Last topic. Yeah. It's not just the Democrats. Folks are calling on the Republican Party to impeach Diego Morales for corruption. Now, sidebar, he also did call out Democrat leadership Talion for not doing enough about this because obviously we should be applying the pressure on the Republican Party to hold him accountable. But for those of you who have not been, up to date on the Diego Morales stuff, so he is our Secretary of State. He's our Secretary of State. He beat out Destiny Wells. We actually did have a Democrat challenger that put up a good fight, FYI. We just didn't choose her statewide. Okay. So I just want to put that out there. But yes, Diego got in apparently with a questionable resume. And
is he a handsy person too, or was that something I can't remember?
That was probably Curtis Hill.
Yeah, but I thought they were all kind of handsy. Had allegations. I can't remember.
Something he could have. I don't know. But his resume though, apparently he got fired from a lower position in the same office that he has now been elected to run. Also, currently what's being brought to question, and this Briggs says this is the final straw, is that he bought a $90,000 SUV on the taxpayer's dime from a car lot that gave him a $65,000 donation to his campaign.
Sounds even Steven to me.
So they made about $35,000 on He got $65,000 for his campaign.
A $90,000 GMC Yukon Denali.
Yeah. And yes, and they gave him $65,000 in campaign contributions. So basically, he was able to get $65,000 of taxpayer money to fund his campaign ahead of time, right? I mean, that's how it feels.
So I have the wildest take on this. Yes, it is. It is clear cut corruption, but it's like the when Whitney said, and they asked her about the crack use, and she was like, "I don't do crack; it's cheap." That's what this is.
She said whack.
Whack. I thought, and she said it was a cheap drug too.
She said crack is whack.
Crack is. That's what this is. It's like, yeah, it is what it is, right? But they're scamming much more. All of them are scamming much more. Allegedly, much more than this. He's just the one that's doing the equivalent of crack in front of y'all. They're my God, like that's clear cut, dry corruption.
I think the thought is if he's willing to do this, if he's willing to do crack in front of you, what is he doing?
He's doing it.
If I'm being totally honest, like I'm one of those people, I think, if it's wrong, still call it out though.
So they said, one, Governor Mike Braun says he supports legislation targeting luxury car purchases by state officials, but he didn't respond to IndyStar's question about his thoughts on purchases by Beckwith and Morales. Let's keep in mind.
Beckwith too, yep.
They said shortly after the story was published, Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith announced about a $164,000 worth of cost cutting in his office following the purchase of an SUV. So Morales' SUV is a $90,000 GMC Yukon Denali. Described as an SUV with a heated steering wheel and a 14-speaker Bose surround sound system.
Come on, Bose.
As a car to immerse yourself in luxury.
Oh, okay.
They said Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith drives to the Indiana State House in the 2025 Chevy Tahoe High Country SUV, which cost taxpayers just under $88,000 when the state bought it in February.
Okay, it's a little cheaper than
because if you ain't riding in high luxury, what you know what I mean? On the taxpayer's dime, why become lieutenant governor? What? Like for real? Like, and this is we should be angry.
I mean, we should
be way more angry than we are.
We should, but I mean, the EPA cleaning up Pence's family gas station sites was a lot more in 2 hours than all it is, and. Don't let it go. I'm not saying don't let it go, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, unfortunately, our news cycle, they're great at picking up all the Denali. We can understand the Denali, them spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean up that, or somebody's told me about this road in Jasper that goes to one of Braun's family businesses. It's costing a lot.
Paved in gold.
Yeah, we don't talk as much about that road and all the other stuff that these people are grifting from us every day. And so in the grand scheme of things, I think it's out of touch. It's really stupid on their part. It's blatant in your face corruption. But trust me, the smart ones are doing a lot better. They have enough money from all the grifting. They just go buy it themselves.
But my question is though, you know how like they'll pick somebody out, and we see this criminally a lot, and like with police and stuff. Oh, making an example out of somebody.
Yep.
My thing is like, why don't we do that as a community though? Because that's what I'm saying right now. Because if I'm gonna go in and say that this person here isn't qualified or shouldn't be in this role or whatever, I'm definitely going to do that with him, right?
And let's start auditing down the list. Okay, let's see what all the stuff y'all doing, and don't stop it at Diego. Like, do something about it and Beckwith, but let's start looking down the list.
Oh my God, there was another thing too that I didn't put on our list, but we're going to talk about Beckwith. Okay, go ahead.
I just think that when it's all said and done, there needs to be some true investigation into political corruption, because a lot is not getting done and a lot is being taken and it's our money at the end of the day that's being misused and misappropriated. So I think that there needs to be something that takes place, not just on the higher levels. I mean, all the way through.
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff that I see that is unspoken because I got a lot of questions about how people get jobs in this city.
That's what you need a Doge for.
After they get done with whatever their political positions are, I have a lot of questions about how a lot of people are now becoming CEOs of organizations in this state simply because they served in some capacity, and their resume does not fit the bill.
Constantly.
That's what we need a Doge for. Like
I agree.
A real Doge, not that fraud they're perpetrating right now.
Yeah. Not what they're doing, but a real, like, we actually do need somebody to come in and look at this stuff. These are deep, dark, decrepit places that haven't had light or a good dusting in forever.
And it's like everywhere. It's like a fraternity / sorority because everybody knows it, but no one will dare speak on it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because everybody is. I ain't gonna say it. It's like everybody's
the boogeyman.
But it's like everybody's waiting on their turn to be able to be corrupt.
No, it is real. It's like,
and it's real.
Yeah.
Sounds like the church.
It's just like it's not just.
Hey, wait till I'm pastor. I'm gonna rob y'all real good.
Oh God, please.
There's a disclaimer.
I know you see all things in the disclaimer.
Not just that though. I think it's also reminiscent on like how they sell us on the American dream.
Absolutely.
That they know most of us will never actually live or achieve.
And the American dream is mostly, well, someday you might be in a position to steal from everybody.
And that's what it is.
How selfish that is. That you're willing to continue to damn and vote to continue to damn the 98% of all of us, because we're in here together, okay? For just the slight belief, chance, hope that you'll eventually make it in the top 1%.
But it seems like that's what the game is now. It's like that seems like people are getting into politics and trying to get elevated simply because what does it look like if you get in Congress? You at that point I think you get health care
for life. That's enough.
You get your salary for life. So at that point, it's like that's the goal, and it's not to change policy. It's not to make things better. It's to keep things the same and get paid handsomely to do it.
Before we get out of here, I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. Did you watch Taylor on Beckwith's podcast?
I did not.
I forgot, y'all. I will watch it before we come back for the next episode.
Yeah, we probably need a whole section to unpack all that, I'm sure.
Yeah, your man Greg Taylor went on. So I didn't have the link yet. He posted about it, bragging that he was on Micah Beckwith's podcast. Now, let me be clear, because I know people who don't know, they had to talk to Republicans. And I hear you, okay? I hear you. Yes, they do. They should talk to them. They have the supermajority. They should have meetings with them, all of that stuff. None of that includes going onto their podcast, and talking to them in that way. That is not...
Or if they did, it should be contentious.
It makes you wonder about that vote.
Yeah, or it should be contentious. Boy. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go watch it, though. I'm going to watch it. We're going to be able to come back and tell y'all about the things. But I think that's it, though, for today. Everything that we wanted to cover, it did end up going decently long.
Yes, it did.
Longer than I expected, for sure. Anything else? All hearts and minds clear? Now
all hearts and minds clear. I think we did the city well. I think we did.
Well, I thought I was in a church last Sunday, y'all.
Amen.
Burst into flames. I'm just playing.
No, I think we did the city and stayed well.
I stayed hydrated before that stuff.
But tell us what you were there for.
I was talking to Broadway United Methodist Church, who is they're a great church about Black Joy, the Black Joy Festival. It's something that they can support. Everybody can support it. Everything else is getting cut.
Right.
And I'm sure that's considered DEI in everybody's book. So
yeah.
No more Juneteenth.
You guys are like philanthropy supported though, right? Yeah. So and I mean, we're going to need that.
Yeah.
Philanthropy. I hope they're paying attention. I think they are. I've definitely heard some things, but we're definitely going to have to make that shift and start, filling in all of these voids that government funding is now leaving for communities.
I mean, they've been having those conversations, and philanthropy has to get in gear about being more strategic about how they disperse the money, because, even they've gotten away with, not really gotten away with, but they've given money to a lot of ineffective organizations and peoples, and that money is tight now.
You don't say. Just playing. I'm sorry. But yeah, so we will come back just in about 2 weeks.
Yep.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll follow back up on some of these things. Definitely the homeless bill amendment. Because we definitely need to find out who was sleeping at the wheel for that. But other than that, we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining us. Please like, subscribe, comment, share the video. Let us know what you want us to cover or talk about. Like, there's several topics that we talk about off air that we would like to dedicate an episode to, but definitely let us know what you think. What would you like to hear us go in on, or what would you like to understand more that maybe we can shed light on? We would love to know and hear from you. Connect with us personally. I'll make sure I put our social media in the last screen, of course. Other than that, though, thanks for joining us. See ya. Know how it is.